up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stub Stories. I was looking for a place to talk about all of the concert tickets, the passes, the set list that I've collected since 2001, and I figured the best way to do it was to tell you guys the stories that go along with them. If you like it, do me a favor, subscribe, maybe tell a friend, maybe share it. Let me know if you guys went to these same shows, or if you saw these same tours, or what you want to see next. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about the first country show I ever went to, the first time I ever saw Kenny Chesney. The show took place Sunday, July 16th, 2006 at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Alright, so if you've watched any of the past Stub Stories, you've probably realized I've been to a lot of pop punk shows, punk rock, Warped Tour crowd, that whole thing. So going to a country show is something I've never done. I didn't even get into country music until my senior year of high school. I graduated in 06. I graduated a couple months before the show. I got into it like most of the other things in life because of a girl. She loved Kenny Chesney. I started listening to it, thought it was really cool, super catchy. It wasn't like country music that you would think it would be. It was super poppy, really, really, really catchy. Sounded like a good time. So I bought tickets to the show. None of my friends would go with me. Didn't even want money in return, just wanted somebody to go to the show with me so I could impress this girl who already had tickets. I just wanted to be there and hang out. So I took my mom. Have you guys ever taken your mom to a show? It absolutely rules. My mom and I get along really, really well. And when nobody would come to this concert with me, my mom stepped up to the plate. I didn't know she was also a Kenny Chesney fan, so it kind of worked out for her. But either way, me and my mom headed down to Gillette Stadium. So as I would come to find out, a lot of the reason why people go to these huge country shows in the summer is to party in the parking lot before they go inside. I had never tailgated at a show before that. You don't really tailgate to go to club pop punk shows. And the only other arena show or stadium show I'd ever been to at that point was Green Day, the September prior to the show. And we weren't tailgating at a Green Day show. So my mom and I show up with probably Italian subs, I'm guessing, probably from S&S Deli in West Boylston. Either way, we show up, we're just hanging out. We're watching all this madness kind of come together around us, and it was amazing. I mean, blow-up pools, tiki bars, backyard games. People brought full grills. It's unlike anything that I had ever seen up to that point. And even up until now, not many things have ever matched that Gillette Stadium parking lot vibe. It's just absolutely incredible. Back to the girl. We saw her for about 2 seconds before the show as we were walking in. It was cool, but whatever, nothing ever came of it. So my mom and I get in there, and first person on stage was Carrie Underwood. I've never watched The Voice. I've never watched American Idol, sorry. So I really didn't know who she was. At the time, she had Jesus Takes the Wheel. That was her big song. That's the only thing I knew of her. I knew she was beautiful. I knew she had an amazing voice, but that was kind of it in terms of my knowledge. She came out first. There might have been somebody before, but when we walked in, she was the first one. And she was awesome. Getting to see somebody who would eventually grow on to be a worldwide superstar and one of the biggest acts in all of music play at 3:30 in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon was incredible. Her set was awesome. I remembered Jesus Take the Wheel because it was the big song. It's kind of not my favorite song, but she did do a cover of Sweet Child of Mine from Guns N' Roses. That was amazing. In between her set and Dierks Bently, that's all everybody was talking about. It was out of control. Just so good. And I actually don't think I've ever seen her play again after that. I think it was the only time I ever saw her play. It was her opening set for the stadium show. But don't worry, Carrie, you didn't need me. You've done very well since. We're going to have a little conversation about Dierks Bently. The second artist to play that day was Dirks, my favorite country artist at the time, the only person who was introducing bluegrass music into what he was doing. His music wasn't super poppy. It wasn't super country. It was perfect. I still think those first 3 Dierks records are some of my favorite records of all time, especially the second one, which had just come out, I think, the winter before this tour, or maybe like late spring before this tour. So I was super excited to see him. Puts on a great live show. He was awesome. Maybe like 3/4 of the way through his set, his band brought out traditional bluegrass instruments, and on his second record, they did a cover of Good Man Like Me. It's a song by the Del McCoury Band. In my opinion, Del McCoury is the best bluegrass musician of all time. Dirks is clearly a huge fan of him as well. He covered his songs. So they played Good Man Like Me, and at the very end, they went into I've Got a Tiger by the Tail, which is my favorite Del McCoury song. They don't have a recorded cover of it, but they did it on this tour. It was awesome. It completely introduced me to Del and all his music, and I kind of fell in love with bluegrass from that moment on. But I thought it was super cool. Here's this stadium full of, younger people who are there to see this like pop country music, and there's this guy with, semi curly hair just ripping bluegrass. It was freaking amazing. So yeah, if you ever get the chance, please go see Dierks Bently. He's the absolute greatest. So one of the things I learned at that show was that especially these early, Kenny Chesney shows there were pretty much no rules inside Gillette. Anything goes. People were dancing up and down the stairs. People were dancing on their seats. I will never forget standing there and just having this entire row of girls dancing on their seats in front of me and thinking, this is it. I've made it. This is what it's all about. I might not ever go to a pop punk show ever again. I'm completely converted to a country music fan, if not for anything, but it was everything that a 19-year-old guy or 18-year-old guy or however old I was at the time could ever want. It's a blast. Everybody's nuts. So the third act up was Big and Rich. Not exactly the biggest Big and Rich fan of all time, but there's not a lot of bands I've seen that put on a better show. So the third act up that night. So the third act that day was Big and Rich. I'm not the biggest Big and Rich fan, but at the time, nobody was playing better live shows. There was explosions. There was people dancing all over the stage. 2 Foot Fred came out. Cowboy Troy came out. It's unbelievable. They're more of a rock and roll band than a country band, but they play some of the coolest country songs ever. There's funk, there's rock. It was incredible. I wish everybody got a chance to see Big and Rich back in the mid-2000s. I don't even know if they still do music, to be honest with you, but they were absolutely incredible. If you were ever trying to have a huge party at a show, you needed to have Big and Rich open for them. Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. Obviously, their biggest hit was just out of control. People went banana land during that song. It was awesome. So, cheers, Big and Rich. So just before Kenny played, Gretchan Wilson played. Apparently, the year before 2006, Kenny Chesney and Gretchan Wilson, I don't know if they co-headlined, but they both definitely played the New England Country Music Festival at Gillette Stadium. It was the first time Kenny ever played, like 50,000 people. It was out of control. So we brought her back for this show. Gretchen was awesome. I only knew 2 of her songs. She had Redneck Woman, which is a fucking jam. It's still a jam to this day. And she had I'm Here for the Party. It was awesome. One of the 2 coolest moments of her entire set, where she did a couple cover songs too. I forget what. There might have been a Led Zeppelin one. I tried looking up the set list, but it was kind of hard to find. But I know around that time she was covering Led Zeppelin's Black Dog, I want to say I saw, and maybe there might have been a Heart song. I don't know if she played both, but she definitely did a cover. I remember that. But there was a guy behind us, or a group of guys or whatever, and I'll never forget during Redneck Woman, we're all going crazy. Everybody's singing along, holding on to each other. It was wild. And this guy tapped me on the shoulder, so I turned around, and he just goes, "Open your mouth." So I do, and weird. He just shot vodka out of one of those like spray fan water gun things into my mouth. And I was just like, look over at my mom, and I was like, here we go. And that was it. Like, it wasn't anything further than that in terms of like partying, but it was it was enough to like unleash the next, 10 years. I think I went to see Kenny Chesney pretty much like multiple times a year. And a lot of it was because of that moment, because it was just everything. The crowd, the party, the everything. It was absolutely banana land. I don't know if Gretchan Wilson does anything anymore or if she did anything after that show. I have no clue. But that was epic as fuck. Now on to Kenny. When Kenny Chesney comes out, the lights go down, obviously. Everybody, the excitement's building. There's, this little video plays. It shows him on the beach. It shows him practicing or whatever they do. And then all of a sudden, there's like a countdown, I think. This tour was sponsored by Cruise and Rum. These big blue Cruise and Rum bottles pop up on stage. And then you hear the beginning of Summertime. And like people go insane. Everybody's screaming. It kind of feels like you're about to see like NSYNC or something. It's just high-pitched screams. And then out of the middle of the crowd, there's this box starts to kind of like come up, and Kenny's in this box. And he comes up, he starts singing Summertime. He's in the middle of the crowd. There's just that 68,000 people or 65,000 people going absolutely insane, screaming, singing every single word. He sings the beginning of it, and then he gets on this little hook, and it kind of pulls him back across over everybody. It's out of control. One of the coolest ways to open a show ever, and he changes it every single summer. Sometimes he pops up out of the middle of the catwalk. There were times when he like swung across a thing. It's insane. Every single summer, it's a different entrance. It's awesome. He opens with Summertime. Great song. Perfect song for that type of day. Then goes into Live Those Songs, which was probably the first Kenny Chesney song I was ever introduced to. It was the first single off of Songs for the Radio, I think is the name of that record. Whatever that record was. But it has this cool like bum, bam, like cool guitar intro. He plays that. Then he goes into Big Star, which was a bigger song off of maybe the record before. Let's see, we got Beer in Mexico, which went on to be a humongous, I don't even know if it was a radio song. It was more of like a live song, I think. But yeah, you put Keg in the Closet, No Shoes, No Shirt, No Problems, There Goes My Life. Oh, Living It Fast Forward, that's what it was. That's the song off of that record that was big. Live Those Songs, I think, was also off of that same record, though. Young, I Go Back, and everybody's going crazy. They're singing along, and little pop punk, I was going to club shows. Me is like, what the fuck? This is insane. There's this moment at every single Kenny Chesney show. I've seen Kenny in an arena. I've seen him at stadiums. I've seen him in sheds. Seen him everywhere. There's literally nothing like the moment of the night where he plays Anything But Mine, where the whole crowd is just like swaying along. Everybody's got their phones out, making little lights. There's a part where the whole band drops and he stops singing and he lets the crowd sing. And for years, that was the moment I lived for every single summer. Didn't matter what other shows I went to. Kenny Chesney's never been my favorite artist. He's never been somebody I've died to go see. It's never been like that epitome of music for me. But that moment is the epitome of summer. Every single year, I get goosebumps even thinking about it now, and I haven't even seen him in years. But there's just like something really, really special. I was lucky enough to go see him a whole bunch of times at Gillette, and we've always sat in different spots. This show, I was in, I was in section 128, which is great. It's low. You're kind of near like side stage area. For the most part, we would get seats up in the bleachers, or like rafters, whatever. And we'd always sneak down to section 112, I think. It's almost directly across from 128. It would always just sit there. We always bought cheap seats and just moved down, and everybody did it. But over years, I've seen him up top. I've seen him from the back. I've seen him from the floor. I've seen him from every single section of Gillette, basically. And that one song, that moment when he drops out and the whole crowd sings, it's always the best part of the entire show. Yeah, went into, did Old Blue Chair, which is a cool song. I think he even brought the chair. I know there was tours where he brought the like Old Blue Chair out. Knowing better, it was probably not the same blue chair, but who knows? I like to pretend it was. Back Where I Come From, he did a bunch of cover songs. One of the other coolest things, Uncle Kracker and him have a song together. He brought out Uncle Kracker as like a special unannounced guest, but he did, I think maybe like an Allman Brothers cover. There was a year where he did a Kid Rock cover, but I think he might have actually did a Kid Rock cover that year too. But they do Follow Me, which is Uncle Kracker's big song. They do the songs they have together, and they might have done like another cover or something. But that was fun. And then he has this song called Boston that the only other place I've seen him has been Connecticut, and he almost always plays Boston, so it doesn't really mean that much, but like he likes to say like, oh, we only play this song here. He might. I have absolutely no idea. I've never seen him anywhere else in the country. If he does, hell yeah, it's a great song. But he always plays She Comes From Boston. It's every girl's, away message. I'm sure Facebook status. I'm sure it's like an Instagram thing. I wouldn't be surprised if people had like the Live, Laugh, Love scripture in their apartment or something. But it's a cool song, and it's fun to have a like Boston song. People go nuts. Usually he'll bring out like members of the Red Sox or the Bruins, or there's always Patriots guys. I think Belichick's come on stage a bunch. Gronk used to come out for these things. It's always been kind of a party. He leaves, he comes back out. He'll do like another song, and then he always closes with She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy, which is like the worst, best song of all time. But everybody goes nuts. It's a big party, and then the band plays at the end. The band keeps playing the same groove, and he signs a bunch of autographs and everything. So yeah, if you guys like this, let me know. Like, subscribe, tune into the next one. Let me know if we were at this show. Let me know if you absolutely hate country music. That's totally cool too. I've been to a million shows of all different types of music. There will be different ones we talk about. But yeah, stay tuned, because I've been to a lot of shows, and there's usually stories that go along with each one. So thanks for watching Stub Stories, guys. Cheers.